Hello, good morning. Welcome yet again to another episode of the Entrepreneur Stories. There is a lot of information in the market about how entrepreneurship is hard and how entrepreneurs fail. These podcasts are focusing on the success stories. What is working? Yes, failure is part and parcel of the entrepreneurship journey, and no entrepreneur is immune to any form of failure. But how do some entrepreneurs overcome the failures that they face? Today on our set is Mr. Martin Nangoli. I hope I pronounced it well.
That's very well.
All the way from the mountains of Elgon.
That's right.
The home of Arabica coffee.
Exactly.
In Uganda.
In the world.
In the world.
Yeah.
Wow.
We shall come to that.
We shall come to that. Martin and his company Kikobero Coffee have gone through our Scale for Success and Business Continuity and Recovery program at Transformational Business Network. He's here to tell us his story.
That's good.
Who is Martin?
Thank you very much. And it's glad to be at TPN.
Right.
I have learned a lot of things from here, actually.
Yes.
And I know a number of people from TPN.
Right.
And thank you for keeping up the work.
You're welcome.
My name is Nangoli Martin. I am an entrepreneur, as you say.
Right.
Entrepreneurship was not necessarily part of what I thought I am able to do.
Right.
But my story with coffee goes back to what I was doing. When I was a young man, at my very, very productive age and exploring, I worked for a Christian organization that was based in Britain. They used to send teams, young people, between school and university.
Right.
And I was their overseer, and I looked after them between 6 and 5 months.
Right.
So I did all their planning, all their work they used to do. And one of the things that I did was I introduced a week of culture experience in my village.
Yes.
And in my village, my mom, I used to teach them how to make coffee.
Okay.
From the garden to the cup, locally.
Farm to cup.
Yes.
Right.
Traditional.
Yes.
And this is my mom, and this is my
Okay.
dad. So
Right.
that is where our story of Kikobero begins from.
Okay. Pause a bit.
Yeah.
Your mom and your father had an influence on starting Kikobero Coffee.
Yes. A big one.
A big one. Do you think parents have a way, a contribution to how children should take up entrepreneurship or should not take up entrepreneurship?
They have a very big story behind everything. Everything
Right.
I do. My father is a pastor,
Okay.
and I wanted to carry on
Right.
his work.
Right.
And my parents are coffee traditionalists.
Okay.
They gained their coffee, most especially my mom, from her mother, my grandmother.
Right.
So coffee is in our blood.
So
It
you
was-
are a third generation of
Exactly.
coffee farmer.
Exactly.
It's been running in your family.
Yes.
So it was almost natural for you to take on entrepreneurship.
Not almost, but it
Yes.
is.
It was natural.
Yes, automatic.
Automatic for you too.
Yeah.
But one component that you've done, maybe we'll reach to that,
Yeah.
is you have added something to what they did. It was traditional,
Yes.
and you have now expanded it, you've scaled it, and
That's
it's
what I
now-
was coming.
Yes, right.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, when these teams used to come
Right.
in 2006, they invited me to go to Britain,
Right.
also to learn their culture. Now, when I got to Britain, the first Sunday they took me to church, they served us a coffee before service and after service.
Okay.
My question was, where do you get coffee from? Because everyone was passionate about what they were taking.
Right.
And people would talk very happy, very excited, and I was like, okay. Then every family I went to where I looked after their children,
Right.
and they took a gift of coffee from my mom. They were talking about the coffee my mom made as the best coffee they've ever had.
Okay.
So I was like, come on, wait a minute. I'm going back home and I'm going to train the entire community how to produce the best coffee for UK churches. That is how I entered into coffee business.
Wow.
Now, when I came back home, Kikobero is my village where I am born.
Oh, this is a name of a village.
Yes.
Okay.
And that name, Kikobero, means let's talk.
Let's talk.
Let's have a discussion.
You
Let's
know,
have a conversation. Let's
I-
have a dialogue.
I think we might need to change the name of our podcast to Kikobero, because I think it's a good name. Let's talk.
Let's talk.
Tuogere.
Yeah.
Tuonge.
Mm-hmm.
Eh?
So that
Nice.
is
Yes.
how
Right.
the discussion of when I came back, I began to talk to my parents about
Right.
coffee. And you know, my father is not only, he's a hunter, naturally.
Okay.
And during the 1970s,
Right.
they started. He is among the first men who started the movement of smuggling coffee to Kenya through the forest. Now, my father smuggled coffee to Kenya, leading men. Now, me, when I was introduced to the world, I began to process coffee
Okay.
and do it right, sitting in boardrooms, discussing
Okay.
it with professionals, and leading it on through the rightful channels.
Okay, so your father was involved in that because export of coffee.
But there was no market. We
there
didn't
was
have
no-
international relations.
This was during the Idi Amin time.
Yes.
So markets were closed.
Mhm.
but
People were
coffee
on
was
their
being-
own.
People were on their own.
Yes.
And he needed to get a market for
They
the coffee.
needed, yes. So
They
they
needed
they
the
found
market.
they found market in Kitale,
in Kitale.
Kenya.
Yes.
And you know, we will come to that as well.
Right.
And during that time, Kenyan coffee began booming.
Right.
Have you people ever thought about that?
So prior to, prior to the Idi Amin era,
Yes.
the Ugandan coffee was
Gone down, went down.
was superior. When Idi Amin came, the Ugandan coffee went
down.
down, and the Kenyan coffee
raised,
raised
step up.
because of the gap in the market.
Exactly. And the coffee was actually smuggled there. If you
Right.
go to history and read, you'll
Right.
see this. This is what happened.
Right.
But anyway, that's not the discussion for now. Now,
Right.
for me, coffee is in blood.
Okay.
It is the stories that we grew up knowing,
Right.
talking about. So the passion I have about coffee
Right.
is beyond boundaries.
Right.
So when I came back, of course, by then I was running an organization called Wake Up.
Wake up. Okay.
That is an organization that I started from basing on a Revelation chapter 2, biblical word.
Okay.
Wake up and strengthen what remains before it dies completely. And that is my movement.
Right.
Remember, Kikobero was a dark village. Not many children went to school. Personally, I struggled to go to school. I have come to believe that I think I must have been very bright. And I wanted to be a scholar, actually.
Right.
But I didn't have that kind of luxury to go to school. Now, at that certain age, I say, if God ever helps me, I will help others.
Right.
When I got passionate about developing this, that's why when we developed Kikobero Coffee, I developed 2 schools
Okay.
to where I have put children into school because I don't want any one child to
Right.
remain behind.
Right.
So when we go back to the Kikobero Coffee story,
Yes.
when I came back, I trained people how to process, how to do good coffee,
Okay.
do it well for UK market because I had gone to see the market.
Right.
And then I registered Kikobero Coffee as a business arm to support what I was doing with the charity.
Right.
That is the actually beginning of the story. Now,
Right.
when I began to organize and register this, we registered Kikobero in 2012.
Okay. When you're in the UK, you discovered a market for coffee.
I did actually. I cannot say I discovered the market. It took me by surprise.
Right.
Then I was like, because we had coffee, we had no value. Coffee was also, but everybody was talking about coffee passionately.
Right.
And every home you walk in, they ask you a question.
Coffee or tea?
Would you like exactly?
Right.
Would you like to have a drink? I say yes, cold or hot.
Right.
Then it is coffee number one. It's like,
Right.
what are you talking about? Then when I went to the supermarket, there are lots of coffee from all over.
Right.
So that is it.
Okay. So you come back, you have a light bulb moment,
Yeah,
something switches on.
exactly.
So you get back and you organize the community
Actually, I talked to my parents
while there.
home.
Yeah, okay.
When I talked to my parents,
Right.
we talked to the trustees of Wake Up,
Okay.
the charity organization that I run, that I started.
Right.
I talked to the elders,
Right.
and they got very excited because
Okay.
they had already seen that whatever I am bringing on table
Right.
makes sense.
Right.
And because coffee is already a tradition in
Yes.
my community, everybody got on board.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So at this time,
Mm.
you're starting Kikobero Coffee,
Yes.
or you are having thoughts of establishing this. How many farmers in Kikobero were planting coffee?
Every family in Kikobero has a coffee. It
Approximately.
is a tradition.
Approximately how many people?
I cannot tell. It is our sub-county.
Wow.
Kikobero is the center
Okay.
of Masira sub-county.
Right.
So when I talk about Kikobero, I'm talking in a bigger
In a
perspective.
bigger person. Okay.
So to be precise,
Right.
I have trained,
Right.
skilled,
Right.
documented 420 farmers.
420 farmers.
Though I have trained the entire sub-county,
Right.
but I have documented
Yes.
420. And I know exactly how many trees they have, and I
Right.
know exactly how much coffee they can
Right.
produce.
Right. So these are the 420 farmers are the ones who provide the specialty coffee that you make.
Yes.
Okay.
So I went ahead
Right.
to plant a processing plant
Okay.
in Kikobero,
Right.
because that is after doing a number of to go back. Now, when I began to talk about this coffee story,
Right.
of course, then they introduced me to experts
Okay.
and billionaires and all those kind of things,
Right.
and that is how I started to do coffee
Yes.
properly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you looked at the community that you come from,
Yes.
and you asked yourself, how can you add value to the coffee that they are making? So 2011, no, between 2006 and 2011, you talked to these people
Yes.
about the value of coffee. 2011, you register.
2012
2012, you register Kikobero
coffee.
Coffee. Now, I guess the work now starts. You have farmers.
And that very year,
Right.
we produced the first cup.
You produce the first cup of coffee for
That-
export.
Yes. The
Okay.
coffee for export, and also a cup from Kikobero registered.
Right. Take us through that process.
Yeah. In 2012, I came back. When I came back from 2011,
Right.
I came back and we organized and we produced coffee.
Right.
About 12 tons
Wow.
of green breaded coffee.
Okay.
Now, I did not have an idea how to sell it.
Okay.
Coffee has a chain of documentation and the procedures to be
Right.
exported. I made the
Okay.
coffee, I have it, and I didn't know how to export.
Entrepreneur dilemma.
Yeah.
Many farmers And it's a problem
Yeah.
that many entrepreneurs face here in Africa, in Uganda, in Kenya. Many farmers go into farming for speculation.
Yes.
Without understanding where the market is. Then at the point of harvest, they have a lot of produce, but they have no off-takers.
Actually, they always know there is market, but
Okay.
but they between the producer and the market,
Right.
the processes they do not know.
They do not know the processes.
That was part of us.
How did you navigate that?
In 2012, like I told you, I work with very valuable people
Right.
who understand my passion and the way I decide things.
So you have a network.
I have a
you
network.
of people
Yes.
around you who help you
Yeah.
understand the processes
Exactly.
that are involved.
Yes.
Okay.
So one of them, during that time in 2013 now,
Right.
because that coffee got stuck with me, but I did not abandon the dream.
Okay.
So my colleague, because I have registered Wake Up in UK as well,
Right.
so the chairman of Wake Up in the UK came over and they saw me with a stack of coffee,
Right.
which we have already been discussing.
Okay.
Then he said, no, I'm going to talk to the people I know. So he went and talked to one of the big buyers in the UK.
Right.
Their company started in 1858
1858.
and a generational that had passed on.
Right.
Being passed. That's it. Coffee is amazing, man.
Right.
So when he went, he introduced me to the buyer,
Right.
and a serious one. So we started communicating.
Right.
And then when he asked me to tell him the process of coffee, how we do it from garden to the process. And so I gave him all. And then we began to say, then he says, can you send me samples and all those kind of things. I say, I did not know what to do.
Right.
Because no one had told me the processes. And it was difficult. You go anywhere, there's no information. It wasn't information like today. Today you get,
Right.
today you can get the information everywhere.
Yes.
But then, because like I'll knock on every door. So I went to the giants in our town, but also they didn't have information. And everywhere I went, people say, you produce and give us, and we will sell. So people they cannot produce the good coffee,
Right.
but they want to sell it. So I was like, okay, I began knocking to find out how we can do it.
Right.
Now, in up to 20, we gave they began to test professionally,
Okay.
and they gave us results.
Right. That's in the UK.
In the
samples
UK.
that you had
Yes,
exported.
they began to give us the tests, the
Right.
whatever, and I said, now it is while I was doing that, I went back and I was telling people, farmers, that our coffee is one of the best. They are saying this is our whatever. And then I began to sell the coffee to the traders in the country,
Okay.
the big boys.
Right. So as you were waiting for the UK market
Yeah.
to open up,
Yeah,
you had coffee,
Yes.
green
beans.
beans from the farmers
Yes,
that you needed to
Sell,
sell,
yeah.
so that you give the farmers their money.
yes.
In the process, did you export the green beans to the UK, or you
No, I
exported
sold
from-
it.
You sold.
I sold the green beans here,
Okay.
but the roasted beans and the powder,
Right.
I began to supply to churches through small, so they will go and serve a few churches.
Here?
No, in the UK. Yes.
Okay.
So I started that,
Right.
packing coffee traditionally and sent to the UK with people in bags.
Right.
And then my fire began to rotate.
Right.
Now, in 2017,
Right.
I was invited to the UK again. We went to test the coffee, among other coffees, and they said, your coffee is very good. But I didn't know, again, the details of what to do. Then he said, we will buy 4 tons as a sample.
4 tons.
Yes,
Now, he now wants to buy
4 tons.
roasted
No, green bean,
the green beans.
4 tons. That was and that's another challenge.
Right.
Now from there, I had a friend, another friend, who had now a number of people had contacted the same person. People from Ireland, people from Macedonia.
On your behalf.
On my behalf, they are introducing me.
Right.
So from left to right, people are introducing me.
Right. So the importance of having networks
Yes.
around you.
Exactly.
People that can open doors for you in the markets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, then I went to Macedonia to meet a friend who is a UK, but they are missionaries in Macedonia.
Right.
And they were on the team years
Okay.
with me in Bali.
Right.
Now, when I went to Macedonia, we had a chat and talked about how to price.
Okay.
Then he is a businessman, so he taught me how to price my coffee.
So wait a minute. You go to meet this gentleman,
Yes.
and he offers to buy 4 tons of your coffee, and he asks you for price. You did not give him a price.
I didn't give him a price.
You asked him to give you some time.
Yes.
Smart move. What would you advise entrepreneurs when it comes to negotiation? Tell us about your negotiation process.
Negotiation, most especially in Africa,
Right.
is a very huge problem
Okay.
because we keep on dragging. Something might be costing $5, and you want to begin by 9. A buyer will walk away.
Okay.
They will think you're a cheat. And that's our tradition.
Right.
Whereas, if you know it is 5, say 5.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is it. So, do your due diligence. Understand your value.
Okay.
Because I have a principle, maybe a saying. If you want to buy a car from Japan, who puts a price tag? A Japanese man.
Right.
Because he knows the price, the cost of the car. For us, people want to put a price for our product. No one puts a price for my coffee. I put a price for my coffee because I am the one who knows the cost of that coffee.
Right.
And that's what I've been doing from day one.
From day one. Okay. So you leave this meeting, you tell this gentleman,
I will make the coffee.
I'll get back to you.
Yes.
And then you go to Macedonia.
I flew to Macedonia.
Right.
And I sat with this gentleman, a friend of mine again, and we worked through the cost, what I thought was the cost price.
Right.
And then we put the margins.
Okay.
And then we costed the coffee at $5.250 per kilo in 2017.
Right.
That's how I sold the coffee, my coffee.
Okay. So when you went back to the office and gave the offer,
Yeah, it was it.
it was it.
He said, according to the quality of the coffee you have, this is the price we pay. So, when I came back home, I told him I don't have enough money. So he gave me a pre-finance because I had a very good coffee.
The very
Yes,
person
who was buying coffee.
who is buying the coffee in Liverpool.
And the friend of mine, the very one who helped me also gave me money to kickstart that.
Right.
Now, I have built, people have known me. I've built, actually the answers of business is trust and honesty.
Trust and honesty. So because you had a quality product,
Yes.
the person who placed an order for
Yeah.
the 4 tons,
Yeah.
you told him that you have a capital challenge, and he was able to give you working capital.
Yes. The pre-finance. Yes.
He was able to pre-finance. And your friend who helped you with costing also helped to provide you with patient capital.
He also added that is how I actually started to do proper
Right.
business. Yeah.
So as a business person, the bank is not the only source of money.
No.
The buyer of your produce can equally finance, can be a source of capital.
Yes.
If your costing is right, if you're trustworthy, and if you have a commodity
That is worth
the market.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So that's the opening.
So that is the first time you got investment, external investment into your business. So you come back. You're already exporting green beans,
Yes.
but you now have this market, the farmers, to take care of. You
But
break the news to them.
I break the news, and Actually, we celebrated making that coffee from that village and selling green for the first time. We had never,
Right.
They had never sold green. They always sold coffee. They had lost interest. They were selling coffee as berries on the trees. So
Now, before we get into that, I
Yeah.
think we are getting into terms here.
yeah,
You're talking about the berries,
Yeah.
you're talking about the green beans,
Yeah.
and I'm sure we'll get to the blends and all that, grind and all that. Explain to us,
yeah.
when you say they were selling the berries, what are the berries?
The coffee.
And what is the green?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Coffee when it is still on the trees
Right.
and they are green
Okay.
in color. They are not ready for picking.
Right.
People sell them. People were selling that time to middlemen. That's why the quality of coffee was going down, because middlemen picked the coffee which was not ready,
Okay.
and they didn't care about what the process is. When I came, I trained people. We went back to what our grandfathers used to do. You dry coffee on the raised beds. You don't put coffee on the ground. When you put on the ground, it picks every smell. Coffee absorbs everything.
Right.
So that is why Kikobero coffee is different, and why the consistency is the process. So I taught people to carefully, when they are picking coffee, they pick red coffee, red cherries,
Red chip.
not green
Right.
and not overripe.
Okay.
So we don't wait for coffee to overripe,
Okay.
because that is a different thing.
Okay.
So that is the difference. Now, when they say green beans, that is after turning coffee from primary process to secondary process.
Okay.
You turn parchment into green.
Okay.
Yes. And that is the green we roast.
All right. So you come back. Thank you. You come back. You give the news, and everyone is
Yes.
celebrating.
Yeah.
And the 4 tons.
Mhm.
What was the period? Was it 4 tons every month? 4 tons
No,
every?
it was only for season.
Okay.
Coffee is done in season.
Right.
And specialty coffee is done by order
Okay.
and micro roast. So that season of 2017, we sold green coffee. To be specific, 3,720 kilos. Because I did not have the calculation, the outturn, I didn't know very well.
Hey.
So those are also the dynamics in coffee.
All right. So he received the shipment.
They received the shipment and they said it was one of the best coffees, and it sold at spot.
Okay. Now let's talk about the process. You have the coffee here, and you have to export it. What was involved? The regulations. How was it for you to get the coffee through?
That time, they told me to take coffee to one of the big boys to take to pay. So he is the one who arranged the export.
The export.
I only delivered.
Okay. So
He narrowed it.
Right.
He helped.
right.
I was not involved with
You're not
export.
involved with the export. You also,
Though I do it now.
okay.
Though I have the entire process.
Okay. So 2017 comes. You've been paid.
Deal.
You've paid back the money
Yes.
that you had been given. And
I was-
2018.
We scaled up
Okay.
up to, I think, 20 times.
From almost 4 tons
Mhm.
to 20 tons. The same buyer, or you got another one?
No, one with the same buyer was going to buy the whole entire coffee we were making.
Wow. Okay.
But then also in that year we got people from Germany.
Okay.
People came from everywhere now, because in that 20, because when we produce coffee, our harvest season is October to January.
Okay.
So selling coffee will be February.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were published in papers, and the story was Nangoli's coffee charms Europe.
This is 2017.
2018.
2018.
Yeah, that's when we just sold the coffee in 2018.
Okay.
2017.
Let's talk about this coffee. What type of coffee do you grow?
Arabica coffee.
And what makes it special?
Okay. Coffee is sold for three things: the story, the altitude, and the quality.
Okay.
Now, by design, Kikobero is placed among the top and the highest point in the Buddhism. And in primary, we used to brag around and say, the higher you go,
The cooler it becomes.
in coffee, the higher you go, the better the cup.
Okay.
So, one, naturally, God has endeavored Mount Elgon soils with every ingredient needed. It is not anywhere in the world. That's why we have unique coffee. Now, two, the processes. We are definite to each point. We don't leave a stake.
Okay.
And I have trained people to do a particular process. When that particular process is finished, it is sent to someone else.
Okay. All right. So you have this nice coffee. In 2018, you get free publicity in the UK.
Probably.
Nangoli's coffee.
In the UK, actually, it was in our national, our papers here.
Right.
Yeah, the people in the UK, it is the people themselves who they keep the word
of mouth.
Yeah, they go around. Yeah. And the people were testing coffee. For me, I didn't know. Actually, even I didn't take that as very important. It is until when I began to join it, because in 2018, in that very year,
Right.
2018, the very buyer took me to the African Fine Coffee Conference.
Africa Fine Coffee.
He paid for me to go to African Fine Coffee Conference, the first international coffee conference I went to, and it was in Uganda. And that's when my eyes began to really know what coffee is and how much people make from coffee.
Okay.
Then, the same 2018, I also went to a coffee business in London. There I was shocked, surprised, and educated.
Okay.
I was surprised that even people who talk about coffee, they do not know anything about coffee. They only know about how to drink. They don't know that the coffee grows on the tree. But they talk about it very passionately. And then when the much money they make from the coffee was shocking. Then education. That is why I came and said I am going to educate people between and the gap up that gap which is there, bridge it up between the producer and the consumer.
Okay. How did you do that?
How do we do that? That is, I began to do education actually. I do presentations, I do storytelling, and also we are connecting straight with the roasters. I'm no longer dealing much with big buyers.
Okay.
I've gone now because when the coffee got in 2019 actually got a very huge challenge where people came and offered and they wanted to buy me off the company.
Okay, so 2017 is you
took off.
You took off. You had your first export.
Yeah.
2018, you went times 4, times 5 that, and all of a sudden.
2019, I made 50 tons.
2019, so from 4 tons in 2017
to 1 container.
To
that's about 20 tons. Yeah.
To 20 tons in 2018, and 50 tons.
Yeah.
50 tons in
2019.
In 2019, so 2019, someone comes knocking. They want to buy you out.
They want to buy me out, but also they had already dug a hole for me because I didn't know that.
How now?
They went to my buyer and they said, I am producing bad quality coffee. They want to help me improve quality.
But the buyer has been buying from
That
you.
is the challenge we have in the industry.
Okay.
Lies find their own way. Then they say they are the ones who have trained the farmers. They are the ones who have done all this kind of thing. So by the time I realized, I was all blackmailed, and I got stuck with 50 cans of coffee I didn't sell in 2019.
So these are the middlemen wanting to get you out.
Yes. No, they are not. I wouldn't say they are middlemen. They are people who have seen. They are. Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. So 2019, 2020, COVID hits. I have no trouble. I am stuck with the coffee. I can't find it. And that is why I would also advise entrepreneurs, never put eggs in one basket.
Don't just depend on one buyer.
That statement that has been said always, they knew what it meant. They meant never put eggs in one basket. I was so much confident and developing one specific buyer because I didn't see the point
Of getting another buyer.
Yeah.
So let us get back to this. So some people, your competitors,
They are not competitors.
They are not competitors.
because they don't know what they are doing.
they don't know what they're doing. So they go to your buyer and they tell him that they have trained the farmers who give you the coffee.
No, they said they
trained you.
They want to help me
Mm.
to produce quality. And then I said no, because when they came to me and I said I don't want.
Okay.
How do you when you hear my story, it has been a long one,
Right.
and my inspiration actually is to develop my community. What I've not told you, my sub-county is the leading producer of coffee in this country. Every buyer go to my village. Every buyer, whether small or big, they
Okay.
go to my village.
Arabica coffee.
And not only Arabica is grown entirely in the entire mountain,
Right.
but I have invested all my life into the people, and they do the right thing. The people, if you go there and ask them, they'll say, "Oh, I am now able to educate my children in Gayaza and all this." That is what they do. But before they were not taking children to school. In my village, no one is not going to school. Everyone is going to school.
Okay. So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
How Kikobero Coffee has supported the
Exactly.
communities around it. Let's get back to you hit your first major challenge
Yes.
as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Some
LUG
people,
one.
some people want you out.
They did all what they could,
Okay.
and I lost everything. I came to ground zero. All the network I developed died. But what they were not able to take was the knowledge and
Okay.
the skill.
So you have these farmers, they've given you 50 tons of,
Yeah.
of coffee,
Mhm.
and no one wants to buy it.
Yeah, because coffee is bought by a relation. Once it's spoiled, it is spoiled.
They just want you out
Yeah.
so that they can come in
And
and take over.
They went up to the village and they began to tell the farmers that actually they translated what I do, our name, Wake Up, into a local whatever. So 2020, 2021, you remember 2020 we had COVID, 2021 we have COVID. I couldn't travel, I couldn't do anything. And I am stuck, I am supposed to pay farmers. I have children in schools that I have put in schools, and I have borrowed money for the bank to run the school. I can't do much. I have teachers to pay. What could I do? I got stuck with coffee. That was the most difficult time of all. But one of the things that I would like to advise our entrepreneurs, and most especially those who are coming, or young and coming, we should always think outside the box, because you never know what will hit. Even the Bible in Ecclesiastes, the preacher said, scatter your seeds, because you never know the time when disaster will hit. I should be knowing that. I should have known that. But I didn't, that's not what, I did not expect that. Anyway, that's
Okay,
it.
so by the time this is happening,
Yeah,
you have set up a processing plant
yes,
from the profits.
yes,
You have built 2 schools.
yes.
Within a space.
We had schools, but they were not running as the way we thought.
So
But
you have
by
to
now,
renovate.
by now, I had accepted children to come to school,
Right.
and the parents bring coffee at the end of the season. But I want every child in school.
Okay.
So we are having about 700 children in school.
Right.
I'm bragging that I will get food and pay teachers throughout the year, and the people will just bring coffee.
Right.
And that comes to a standstill. That's the heat.
So you have 700 students
Yeah.
in school. How
Yeah.
many teachers?
46. I had 46 staff.
46
in school.
staff.
Yeah.
And
I have coffee staff.
how many back then?
I have 15 permanent,
Right.
and then I have part-time.
Part-time workers.
Yes.
Like approximately how many?
Of course, 90.
Around 90.
90, yes.
So then all of a sudden, no one is taking the coffee.
Yeah, I've stuck with coffee. This is where it came. I got stuck with the coffee for it was season 2019. So 2020 we didn't produce any coffee. 2021, 2022, I am still stuck with this coffee. So it lost value, and I lost market. So I sold it at the lowest price you would ever had.
To the
Just
brokers
the-
here in
the
Uganda,
brokers here.
not
No.
export.
Yeah.
How did you get up?
How did I get up? I took a step and took these guys to court in 2021.
Okay.
When we took them to court restrained them from more damage. When they restrained them in 2023, we had made some coffee samples. So I went for a competition, and this time in France.
Okay.
And out of 200 coffees that were submitted for the 9th international contest in Paris, I won a silver medal.
Wow.
That was the comeback.
Okay. Let's talk. Kikobero Coffee.
Let's talk.
Right.
So, actually, they came and phoned me and like, we are taking, it is UCD, we are taking coffee for competition. Do you have any? They just picked the coffee like I have come with a packet here today, and I took, and that it won a silver medal. And that is not a joke. Of course, I didn't know. Here we don't see that the way, but internationally, that was recognized. The coffee. Now, people who knew the coffee began to talk and trace where am I. That is the story. That's the comeback.
That's the comeback.
Now-
After
after that big
Right.
blow.
Yes.
So in November that very year, in 23 July, when the G25 the coffee summit was here, I was invited to Munyonyo.
Right.
Guess what? It is my documentary that was played in that tent where the bosses of the African continent are seated watching coffee. That was enough to get me back. The connections again.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because the product just speaks for itself.
It speaks for itself. How did you find us? And why did you come to us?
TBN, I was introduced to TBN, I guess. During that time, I was going through a difficult time, but there were processes of training, risks, and all those kind of things. So that's how I began, because actually I was not producing any coffee by then, but I was under the training.
What did you learn?
A number of things.
What helped you?
First of all, the successful stories from other people and how they have gone down. Then, resilience is very key.
So you joined the program,
Yeah.
and you found the other entrepreneurs, and that community of entrepreneurs, you listened to their stories,
Yeah.
what the challenges they're
Exactly.
facing, and how they are managing, and you looked at yourself as, I'm not alone.
No,
If they are succeeding, I can succeed.
exactly.
I can
come back.
Yeah. So the value of a community is one of the things you picked out of the program.
Exactly.
And the other thing was?
They taught us about financial risks,
Right.
and I went down to do that
Scenario
very
planning.
much. They talked about the importance of connections.
Right.
I talked about. I think I developed a number of those. I have been here to the offices many times. I actually know everyone who has been here before.
So TBN helped you with the business plan?
Yes, I think that is what we worked, and I think they visited me actually in that kind of during the hard time in Mbale, because they actually wanted to give me, but I was not even sure of getting market then.
Right.
But I kept on with so part of the TBN, I think they gave me a consultant to work with about the building business or pitch,
Okay.
which is okay.
So you go through the program. Your video is played in the G25.
In the G25
Summit. That was
2023 July.
2023 July.
Yeah.
That very year,
That
your coffee
that
wins a silver.
it had already won.
It had already won
The announcement was July 18th.
July 18th.
Yeah.
So 2023 things start looking up.
Yeah.
You have won a silver
Medal
medal for the coffee.
for the coffee.
Global Coffee.
Yes. And that is a serious one.
Right.
And then in November, I was among the people who were recognized in the country, producing very good coffee.
Right.
So that was those gave me morale that okay,
I can now get back to the market.
Then I was invited to Chicago for specialty coffee.
Right.
That made a huge difference.
Let's talk about the huge difference from no export to
Yeah.
now export.
Even when I was doing that, an organization from Switzerland looked for me in 2022. They wanted to see where is this coffee coming from. So they came up to my village. They couldn't find me, but they found me in Kampala here. They rang and said, "Do you have some samples?" I took, yes. When they took, the taste of the coffee was overwhelming. These were the results.
Wow.
When you look at them, we got 86 or 87. So this was very, very. You can see, coffee has won in the Avapa in France.
Right.
They come and take coffee. This is a sourcing organization,
Yes.
looking for the best coffees around the world.
Right.
They come in Uganda and they pick me.
Okay.
Now they say, "You're very good coffee." Now, Specialty Coffee invites me to the United States. And I walk in, I get the visa, I go to the United States in April 2024. when I walked to the a number of people were like, that is the winner of the Avapa. I was like, people know.
People talk.
People talk. People bring magazines where my Kikobero has been published, and so it was a funny one.
And you're not aware that some people have
No,
published
I didn't know
about
that.
your
I didn't know that people know me. This organization organizes for roasters and producers. I am glad that I know some small English. Most producers do not speak English because most producers come from North America, all those countries, and they struggle. So I have a good conversation with people. So that when I went to the US, it gave me another journey, and I got people who were interested in coffee. Now the point here was the money for production. These are people who do not know me.
Right.
I don't have a reference.
Right.
So I came back and I couldn't process any coffee for that. But again, I put coffee in Avapa 2024 for competition in France.
Right.
This time I was invited to France.
Okay.
And then I was asked, what do I do to have a consistent coffee? That is as simple as it. It is because this coffee comes from the same village, the same people who process it, the same coffee, and is never mixed.
Okay. You've won all these awards.
Yeah.
There is demand.
Yes.
Globally.
Yes.
Is it still for the green beans?
Both.
Or right now they need it washed
Both.
and packaged?
Both. This is how we pack green.
This is how you pack the green?
Yes. This is we send to Czech Republic.
Okay.
So we send coffee. People are coming from all over.
All over the world.
Yeah.
To buy the coffee.
Buy the coffee.
So currently, who are your biggest source markets?
This is, I don't think I would say now, because I went, markup paid for me to go to African Fine Coffee Conference in Tanzania in February, just a month ago.
Right.
And in there again, people from Switzerland organized for roaster producer meeting.
Right.
And those are the things I like.
Right.
I got one of the roasters from the Dutch.
Okay.
And they are getting crazy. After tasting coffee, they did not believe, because sometimes I talk a lot, but when it is the coffee, sometimes I talk and then leave the coffee to talk.
Right.
And then when they get to the coffee, we have to talk, serious talk.
As we wind down, the last segment is let's talk about the how the people from the community have benefited from Kikobero Coffee, the transformation. How has the journey been like?
In my village, it was a dark community. Today it is the light. Everyone. It is the reference village. All people who learn coffee come to my village.
I want to come to your village.
You are welcome. When should we go? And interview people by yourself. And see. Because just last week I was in the village. I was there. I was taking there I would say mom, an American who came 20 years ago and went to my village. This time when she went, it was completely different. She brought me pictures of that time and the time now. And whatever she saw was like overwhelming. So the community, my community, children were not going to school.
Approximately from the time you have invested in education, the school from
2006 is when I started.
2006
Yes.
to now, approximately how many children have gone through the school?
Not only school, I sponsored children. personally, I sponsor 180 children. Me, if I had not spent my money in building people, I wouldn't ask anyone any money. No.
Right.
I would be having my own money.
Right.
Yeah, and that is how all things that I've done, I've been having, because from very day one, I began earning money in foreign currency.
Right.
So I lived comfortably, and I love working.
Right.
So I have a number of children who've gone through different levels.
Right.
We have medical people. Last year, I was diagnosed. It was about due to those pressures. So I was diagnosed. I was shrinking. One of the children I put through school was a medical worker. So he brought me to, and he decided to say, we're going to look for every way possible to understand what is happening with you. Those are the children I have. My dad had those cancer, and I was not able to. He brought they sort of. So that is the value of education that we've had. So we have.
So the very people that you have
Yes.
supported, that have gone through
Are
your
back.
hands in education, and now coming to support you and supporting your family because of
I wouldn't
coffee.
have survived in this dark time. Yeah.
So it's a blend of social. It's a social entrepreneurship.
Investment
Yes.
comes back,
Right.
and investing in people. I will do all my own. One man, one of my hobbies is reading, and a man called Maxwell wrote in one of his books, and he said, "Do not use people to build your job. Use your job to build people."
Wow.
And that's what I do.
Wow. We can say, as we end, do not use people to build your business,
Yeah,
but use your business
to build people.
to build people.
Yeah.
The story of Kikobero Coffee.
Let's talk.
Let's stop.